Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining our brown bag series workshop today. And thank you so much for sacrificing your lunchtime. So if you have like coffee or drinks or even your lunch with you, feel free to bring it over because it will be a 30-minute session today and we'll be talking about physical health and early nutrition. So before I start the topic, let me first introduce myself since some of you have seen me, but most of you might not have. So my name is Sherliz and I'm a senior educator in Trinity Kids and I've been in this field for around 7 to 8 years now and also a mother of two young children. Yeah, so for today's topic, it will be very relatable for all of us as parents on our children's physical health and also early nutrition. So we'll be exploring on some of the ways and steps to look out for in their health and also how to eat right from the start. Okay, now let me share another screen to you. Okay, the first question that we would like to explore, how to know if my child is healthy? What do you think? Is your child like looking big in size or tall, healthy? Is like being active or full of energy, healthy, or is it someone or a child that does not fall sick at all is healthy? So by the end of this topic, we'll be able to understand how our immune system works in different ages. So don't worry, I understand like how difficult it is, to see like sometimes our child falls sick, and then as a mom myself, I will also feel like we will always try everything that we can do to make them feel better, right? So later on, we will also explore on some of the steps to take to make sure that they can achieve their optimal health and explore the ways so that they can grow well and healthy. Okay, first thing we will explore on to understand the immune system. How does our immune system works in different age groups? Okay, so we will start exploring from baby to the 6 years old, since all our Trinity Kids parents have children from baby to six, right? So let's start from 0 to 2. Well, our child is actually born with immature or inexperienced immune system. So when newborn acquires the antibody from the mommy, so what it means that when mommy is pregnant, a mother's antibodies are actually shared with their baby during the third trimester of pregnancy. So mommy's antibodies will actually help protect the baby from illnesses when the baby is born as well. Okay, so this type of antibodies pass from mommy to baby actually depends a lot of mommy's own level of immunity. And as our baby, like once they are born, as they growing independently from mommy, that's where their antibodies decrease and they would have to like depend on milk and care from their caregivers, of course. And then when they grow around 3 to 6 months, drinking their milk and then supplements, starting solids are like important soldiers to boost our body's immune system until it matures as they grow. So of course, like starting solids and exposure, and this is the age where we have heard a lot of benefits of breastfeeding, also vaccines that can protect them from illnesses. Okay, then let's look at 2 to 3 years old. Now, at school or daycare, um, this is where our popular age groups come starting school, right? And you might notice this is also the peak period of viruses attack as their immune system starts maturing. Yeah, because one of the reasons they are exposing more to different environment and also building their own immune system. And this age, young kids, as you might already know, they will spread germs more easily because once they have a cough or flu, they might not know how to cover their mouths. And this is also like one of the ways our parents or teachers can also always remind them to do that. Now, secondly, why is this a peak period for 2 to 3 years olds? The upper airways of young children at this age aren't fully developed until they are around like school age. So they are more susceptible to respiratory infections like like RSV, RSV like respiratory, and then like HFMD, hand foot mouth disease, which put them at risk for more frequent or viral bacterial infections. Okay. Then another thing, for especially like toddlers or 3 years old, they tend to put their hands inside the mouth, yeah, so that the germs they touch on the surfaces will end up being ingested. So when they are becoming more independent and more exposed to the world, their little bodies are immune to the new virus yet. Okay, so this is where you might notice like, oh, more often they will fall sick. And then, but the good news is when they are sick, their body actually, produce antibodies that make them immune to these illness and viruses in the future. Okay, so that's how we look at 4 to 6 years old. They are more or less likely to fall sick often because they had already been exposed to other environments like school, daycare, and outdoors. So their immune system has actually like slowly matured and more antibodies has already been present in their bodies. So there is one question that I get when I do a lot of like inquiries or meeting parents. So they will be asking like, okay, I have a child. If I send my child to school at around 4 to 5 years old, will they get sick lesser? What do you think? Like as compared to if I send my child at 2 years old, but I send my child at 4 instead, will they get sick lesser? The answer is no. Why? Because compared to 2 and 3 years old, those who are 4 years old and they start attending school the first time, they will also fall sick because they have not been exposed to that environment. Okay, so for new environment, they might trigger the illness, and they do need to take time to get used to the exposure, and that's how their immune system build stronger. Okay, now I would like to share this line graph for all of you. Okay, did you know that, let's take a look, for babies, toddlers, preschool, school age, you might notice that the peak period of falling sick will, the most will be for the toddlers. Okay, so and they will get decreased, they will get lesser when they are older and then towards adulthood. So it is actually very common from studies, from research for toddlers and preschool age children to have as many as 8 to 12 colds, respiratory infections, and or stomach bugs a year. Okay, so if you have like children like frequently fall sick, please don't worry. What we can do is to help them build their immune system. Okay, I will share on how we can do that later. So after that, at school age children and preteens, they will get average like 5 to 6 annually, and then teens to adults will get like 2 to 3 per year. But there's another important factor also because of the COVID pandemic. There have been different infections popping up at different times. Okay, so there are a lot of things that we can do to help them achieve their optimal health. Let me share to you some of the steps. Okay, let's digest this diagram together. That's for the better health. So the first thing we'll be looking at will be at their nutrition. Okay, nutrition, of course, eating healthy, drinking sufficient liquid, and also you can supplement with like some other supplements that you have. So the most important thing that I would like to let you all know is to look after their gut health. Okay, this research has demonstrated the link between the gut health and the development of healthy immune system during childhood. So of course, like all of us know, a healthy balanced diet will of course make us healthier. So it includes foods from all 5 food groups: fruits, vegetables, grains, proteins, and dairy. And then we would like to limit all foods high in sugar, saturated fat, and also salt that they are necessary for a healthy diet. And this can be an effective way to support your child's gut. Okay, so for rest, now this is a point where a lot of parents will seem to miss. Okay, so making sure our children get enough rest according to their age. Now, ideally, in every 24 hours, children who are less than 1 year old, they should get about 12 to 16 hours of sleep. Then 1 to 2 years old, it will be 11 to 14. 3 to 5 years old, 10 to 13. Then 6 to 12 years old, 9 to 12 hours of sleep. Are you mentally calculating the hours of sleep in your mind? Yeah? Okay, so what happens if they don't get enough sleep? You might notice that, oh, their health might decrease, they might start throwing tantrums, they are not like their usual self. So a lack of this actually affects the body's ability to produce something called cytokines, okay, which are proteins that help fight infection and also reduce inflammation. Okay, so I really cannot stress enough the importance of sleep for young children, as they will need their sleep, their rest to induce growth, restoration, and also recharge. We will affect them overall. Like it will affect their mental health, physical health, academically, okay, physically, and also mentally. Now, for the third one, exposure. So what does it mean with exposure? What kind of environment have they been exposed to? Are they always quiet at home? Have they been going out? And so are they immune to infections before? Because research has shown that if they had some illness or infections before, their body will produce um, immunity to help them fight the infection better, and also being active. So how do we help them stay active? It's really well known that exercise can help to maintain their immune system. So like it doesn't really have to be in the form of like structured exercise like playing sports or things like that, but just like simply like dancing, especially around the pool, play and game works are also considered exercising as well. So we really want them to get physically active, and it not only makes them healthier, it also can improve their gross motor skills and all that overall. Okay, and the fourth, hygiene. This is also another point that parents might not have noticed, or when they are independent from parents, they might have missed out this point, especially for younger children. Because for hygiene, of course, it's very important to teach them how to wash their hands correctly, right? So while it's not possible to completely prevent or avoid viruses, there are things that you can teach your child to do and not to do in order to help them stay well and also support their immune system. Okay, so how to teach them washing their hands if you are not there? Like if they're in school, of course, like teachers will help them, but we also want them to have this kind of like independency. Okay, so now your kids know that one way you can catch a cold is by touching something germy and then touching your face, using your hand to eat something. Okay, explain that this means it's really important that they wash their hands a lot, but especially after playing outside or with other kids, before they eat or touch their food, and after they have coughed or sneezed. We have no doubt already taught them that it's really vital to wash their hands after going to the toilet too. And it's a good idea to actually reinforce this again, so that like parents will know how to do, and then they can do this without you. Okay? Alright, so to have this desired effect, it's important that your kids know how to wash their hands properly. So how? We should teach them, okay, washing their hands, opening the tap, the water, the soap, and then how long should we wash it? Okay, for children, okay, how should we like tell them how long should they wash it? They should sing happy birthday song for 2 times. Okay, this is how we can, like teach them happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you. So 2 times and then they are done. So this is actually the optimal way for them, the time, amount. Okay, and then second thing, we need to teach them what are the do's and also don'ts about hygiene. Now, first thing, you should teach them like keeping their fingers off the face until they had the chance to wash their hands. Then encourage them to avoid touching their eyes or their nose or their mouth until their hands are squeaky clean. Okay, another thing, avoid germ sharing. Now, of course, we don't want to discourage sharing because that's a good behavior for kids to learn, but using the information above about germs or how bugs spread, encourage the children not to share items that come in contact with their mouth, okay, like their food if they have eaten it, or straws, cups, cutlery, and bottles or things like that. Yeah. So around here, these are the important takeaway that you should know, like how and what can I do for my children. So the first thing we'll be looking at, are they eating and drinking well? Okay, so how is their relationship with food? Did they have too much unhealthy food for the day of the week? Did they drink too little water when the water is hot? I'm sure like everyone knows about this, but um there are other things that we need to set the right boundaries on as well. Okay, like for example, maybe grandparents or caregiver gave them lollipop, ice cream in secret, or they had too much McDonald's. Okay, but of course, occasionally it's fine. Like if you go on holidays, family trips, occasionally on weekends, depending on your parenting styles. Okay, but make sure to set the right boundaries and let your village of people know what is the right boundaries for your child. Like what is too much. Okay, what should they have more? Okay, what is more healthy for them? Okay, then the second thing, do they sleep well and have enough rest? Other than the hours of sleep that they need every day, there's also another question to ponder. So there's this research about co-sleeping and independent sleeper. So studies have shown actually like children who co-sleep reported actually to have like significant later bedtime because they when like parents who work late, they come home late, and children will usually wait and sleep together. And in the morning, they will also tend to wake up earlier because parents need to go to work. So it might disrupt their children's sleep and hence lesser amount of sleep. Okay, since we already know that children requires more amount of sleep, their internal body clock, or also known as their circadian rhythm, will be disrupted and it will affect their physical health as well. Okay, so you might know about this. So you can start doing this like the ideal bedtime will be actually before 10 p.m. where brain building and growth development usually happen between 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. Okay, so try your best to make them sleep before 10. Okay, you can spend some quality time together before that, make them feel loved, we spend some storybook, get them bedtime routine, and so they will get their ideal sleep time until in the morning. Okay, then the third thing, what kind of environment are they exposed to? Okay, what does it mean by managing an orchestra? So let's imagine this about an orchestra. There are like different instruments, right? So they are playing at the same time. There are also like other factors that some will get more like louder, some instruments will get louder, some instruments will get quieter. So we cannot expect them to be healthy all the time, of course. So we need to be also like flexible and how to manage because we cannot, of course, like prevent like, external factors what can happen to them. Sometimes we also need to be flexible and then equipped with the right knowledge and skills. These are the things that we can manage and help them. Okay, so the thing is,
Sherliz,
you can, yes,
Sherliz, do you mind if I jump in for just a few
yeah,
seconds here? Yeah,
sure.
so hi everyone, it's Daisy here. Now, Sherliz has raised many really good points, and I just want to really, I saw that one of the mom asked regarding supplement, which was said during the time when, the milk period. So I just want to like just recap a little bit. Now, the thing is that there's no sugar grazing it. The thing is that they're core pillars of good health, and then but all of us have different children with different base health to begin with, and you got to know your own kid really well. You can have two kids and you have very same treatment, but yet they're very different and they give you different kind of like one may get less resistant and always learner first and then bring home, and the other one will then fall sick because there's so much exposure, they sleep together, etc. So you got to know like each kid really well. In terms of supplement, it really, really depends on whether you have a good eater. So what we find over time is that if you get the macronutrients in, that means you eat really well. Someone who eat well and drink a lot of water a day, which means you need about, for a child, you need 30 ml per kilo of weight. So if you drink really, really well and you eat really well, generally we find these kids have a very good base immune system, the good eaters. Now the picky eaters are the ones that always give us a headache because it really compromises the immune system. So you got to supplement, and when you supplement, do make sure that your macronutrients are in, like your calcium, your protein, and then children need a good amount of carbohydrate, like at least 50% of the calories intake every day or 60% the younger they are, need to be from carbohydrates, because nowadays our parents are very affluent, very high quality protein like cod lah, etc., salmon lah, etc. But our young kids, when they don't eat enough carbohydrate, they can get very lethargic. Okay, now the most important pillar that in this page would really be the sleep, because we notice that the urban kids, when parents are working, they tend to be the one who sleep less, especially it's really hands-on. You don't have helper at home, you don't have like grandparents at home, so the children will wait for daddy mommy to come home, pick up, then have dinner, and then go to bed around much later, like 11 o'clock or 12 midnight. And you find they start to have tension around them because they come back to say goodbye to you. They don't know the boundaries. No choice. You really got to make sure they sleep enough. Once you get to sleep enough, you find that once a habit is set in, maybe they wake up earlier with you, their mood is so much better and so much easier for the drop off and so much easier for you to get ready. Now, other supplements you want to consider is like the vitamin C, the fish oil, calcium supplement if you don't drink enough milk. They need about, for very 3 years old and below, they need 1000 mg a day. So very hard to achieve that if you're not a milk drinker anymore. So just make sure they have enough. Then in terms of exposure, it's really about managing it. So if a kid that was with us all this while, even during COVID period, and then so the parents say, oh, hey, she was healthy all this while, until this few months ago, last year, that she started falling ill very, very close succession all the time. And we're very puzzled. No change in sleep, no change in like nutrition, and she's been like exposed to school environment all this while. Why fall sick now? Then we found out that she started swimming. She started swimming because catch up post-COVID, one of the skill need to catch up on. And then every week she goes, and all the kids are in the same boat. They're catching up on illnesses. Their bodies are suddenly exposed. They're catching up on it in an indoor pool that has no chlorine. Voila. So once we found out that could be the change in exposure, and every week she's going, she don't have a chance to get well better, then she falls sick again. They will get well, fall sick again. So then they remove her from the period, from swimming during that peak season of flu, really the peak season of flu, and then she stopped falling ill. She has a chance to catch up and catch up on it for a while, and then she gained back her weight a little bit for a while. Then they rejoin again in the off-peak period. So that's about the managing exposure lah. If you know for sure now it's a monsoon, you go out, you will bring an umbrella. So it's about knowing what you are facing with. That's why we always give parents the alert whenever there's a peak season or wave going on, so you can manage your overall family exposure better. So really that's that on this page, because it's probably the most important pages that Sherliz will be sharing on how you can really safeguard and bulletproof your child's immune as you help them grow through these first few years.
All right, thank you so much, Daisy. I'm actually also going to share a quote with you on this gentle reminder about a healthy child is not one who doesn't fall sick, but in fact, falling sick in the early years is inevitable and a good thing, as it helps your child's body build memories on how to fight these nasty bugs in the future. Okay, so I can totally relate to how anxious and worrying I become whenever my child has a fever, cold, or cough. But at the same time, we should believe in them that the body is fighting an infection. That's why the responses, and they will become better in time. So the days are long, but the years are short. And our children's immune system will get stronger as they get older, and they work throughout our lives fighting germs that can cause this disease. Okay, so this is another subtopic that I'll be talking about today on starting solids. Then we also have some parents who have babies who are young. And how do we start this? We should start right from the start. And when? Okay, the most important thing is to make sure that they are ready. Okay, no matter you are feeding traditional weaning puree or BLW, up to parents' preference, but they must be around 6 months old. They can sleep by their own. They show interest in their food, and they can swallow and do not gag. Okay, how? We will always start slow because they are still learning how to eat for the first time. So we do once a day, and then we gradually increase as baby grows. Okay, and then we start with the 3 days rule for puree to check on allergies. Okay, and how much? We will start by a teaspoon, and then with watery texture if you're doing puree, so to make sure that their consistency is the same as the milk that they have. Okay, then only we will slowly increase their texture, their frequency as our baby grows, because it's also very important to teach them to learn how to chew their food. All right, okay, so I will also share this menu that our baby class is using in school. So it consists of a lot of superfood, as you can see, and a lot of first-time parents or young parents. They will also prepare their meals at home according to our menu. Okay, like we do puree, fruits, veggies. They will have their own milk. Okay, something like that. They also have brown rice puff. Okay, all right. So another subtopic that I'll be covering today will be on tackling picky eaters. This is also a topic which many parents I met before they start school will ask us all about this. All right, first thing that we need to know is how do you define picky eating? Okay, what do you think a picky eater is like? Eats too little, only eat certain food, or they refuse new food. Okay, so a lot of parents similarly to have the same problem at home, so it's pretty common. And usually it occurs between 12 to 18 months old, so when they are toddler. And good news is it can be reversed with proper techniques. All right. So in my years of experience in this field, I've actually observed a similar trend. So children who eat well are generally healthier. Okay. So for parents like you, if you have a picky eater at home, what can you do? Find out why. Okay. First thing, did they have too much snack or milk before meal? It means that they are not hungry enough for their main meals. Okay. Second, do they lack a consistent mealtime schedule? Okay. So back to the first point, if they are not hungry enough for their main meal, what should you do is to, of course, cut down on their food and milk. Okay, or most of the time they actually had too much snack. Yeah, so do cut them down at least 30 minutes to 1 hour before their main meal so that their stomach will get hungry enough and they will have their meal. Then in the second will be interrelated to the first. So we need to set a time for consistent meal times because their body clock will adjust to it. Okay, the third one, do you offer your child a variety of food, including the food you eat? Yeah? Are you or your caregivers at home only giving them their favorite food because they refuse the other food? Like they love to eat pasta without sauce, like just pasta itself. So I have a parent also who mentioned that they only like to eat white rice. So every meal I will only give them the white rice. But of course, white rice is not a balanced diet, right? So, and then after that, then they will top out with snacks and milk. But as this continues, it will not only go down the slippery slope that it will happen all the time, but it also jeopardizes their overall health. Okay, and then fourth, do you eat together with them during mealtime? Now, this scenario happens mostly when our child is taken care by their parents or other caregivers because they are so used to feeding them when they are baby. And then as they grow, they will also feed and then it will eat separately after, usually because they are scared of making a mess. But sometimes they also get distracted, have to be fed while playing with toys, screen time, and something. So most of the time, parents are also on their phones and television. Have you noticed actually they eat much better when you eat as a family, when you are present and everyone is engaged with each other? Okay, so find out why they have been like this, what when did it happen, what caused that. So the next slide will be on how do I reverse picky eaters because it can actually happen. Now, the first most important point will be exposure. All right, research actually shows that it takes up to 20 times for a child to get familiar with a new food. Okay, so don't worry if your child keep refusing, pushing away, they don't like. Don't give up. Okay, if your child refuses, don't give up. Keep exposing them. And then when you serve them in a plate, this is a very good point that I love. Try including a favorite or familiar food and then play it cool. So what do I mean? So if you have serving them the food in a plate with all the meals, then you'll be like, here you go, here's your dinner. Play it cool, okay? Yeah. So set mealtime boundaries like what should they do when they are eating? Okay, is it okay for them not to finish their food? If they are done, should you give them snack in afraid of them not feeling full enough? Like if you do, it could actually teach them that it's okay not to finish that food because there's always a backup food. Okay, so what works best in your family? You have to set the ground rules of eating. Like for example, eating time means eating okay together. There's no playing around, no running. So holding a boundary will actually teach them how to make better decisions, okay? So if they told you that they are done eating, but they are not finished with their food, they should only eat again the next meal, okay? Something like that. So what works best in your family and what you think that works for them as well, okay? Then another thing, be a good role model and create loving mealtime together. Now, of all the food that I had heard of, like picky eaters, vegetables are the most common food group that children have difficulty eating with, okay? Some of the adults as well, I'm sure. Okay, but you cannot expect them to eat vegetables if they have seen you refusing or not eating it, right? So eating together creates a sense of like security, attachment. So you have to be a good role model, okay? Show them that, oh, it's yummy, or things like that. So eating together as well, it also like increase your social emotional benefits with family bonding and so many more, okay? But when you're eating together, please don't start nagging at their behavior or pressure at the table, okay? Yeah, start spending time together this way. So 3 to 5 times a week will actually also be sufficient. All right, one of the most efficient way, what we do in school to get our children eating. So what we do, we have actually like a routine, okay? So from lining up to the canteen, they wash their hands, they sit on their bench freely with their friends. Then we will sing our thank you song and everyone will eat together. So a lot might say that it's because of peer pressure, which is not entirely false, but it really is about like everyone coming together and involvement that leading to it. Okay? So here, be creative and then get them involved in meal prep. So as you see in the picture over here, how to talk to them about eating fruits and vegetables for young children especially. So other than playing it cool, we can be creative in describing the food and the benefits for the young children in a way that can relate to them. Okay, so here are the ways. And then involve in meal prep, like going to the supermarket to buy the food, preparing in the kitchen with you, serving, cooking, because it actually shows that kids who do that are more likely to enjoy fruits and vegetables. Okay, there are even a variety of healthy snacks that kids can make because we in school we also have a culinary class. Yeah, so children are involved in making the food, and it doesn't only build their fine motor skills but helps them with their relationship with food, as they feel a sense of accomplishment and involvement in the food they make, and they eat it together as well. Okay, so here is a menu of our superfood in school, and I frequently have new students and current students who eat our school food really well, even though they are picky at home. So I often have parents who got surprised when we report to them that say, oh, they eat their school food very well, but how come they don't eat at home? Yeah. So this is the food menu, of course, created by Daisy, which is also our first Dr. Sears handbook in Malaysia, which contains a lot of superfood and balanced diet as well. So for parents who would love to recreate our school menu at home, feel free to take a look at this. And we really emphasize a lot of taking care of our children's gut health. Okay, yeah, without sugar and without salt as well. Okay, other than these recipes over here, I also have more homemade recipes for your little ones from Daisy's book right from the start. Okay, there will be 3 recipes included in this QR code here. So there's something for everyone. So we have the immune boosting roast chicken, we have like a perfect porridge for first time, and then a superfood for super eater. We have a magic cheese steak. So I'll leave you some time, okay, to scan this QR code, and feel free to let me know if you have trouble accessing. I'll send it to you personally. Okay. All right, and this will be the end of my talk today, where I would love to share this quote of the point of parenting is not to have all the answers before we start out, but instead to figure it out on the go as our children grow. Because as they do, so will we. Come, let's all admit it, parenting itself is hard. So jumping to take care of the little one while taking care of ourselves and the rest aren't easy fit in all aspects. So I would really love to tell everyone here today that you are the best parent for your child and keep doing what you are doing. All right. So I hope everyone had something to take away today. And thank you very much for attending our brown bag series today. And for tomorrow, we'll be talking about program pathways from 0 to 6 years old, and then followed by Daisy's talk on primary school selection. Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much for attending today's workshop.